What's going on, my fellow Napolitani and calcio enthusiasts? Welcome back to Napoli TV. We have a very, very special guest today by the name of Dom from Napoli Talk. If you are not familiar with him, well, you damn sure will be now. Dom, if you can give yourself a quick introduction, just let the people know who you are if they don't already.
Hey guys, so I'm Dom from Napoli Talk. Thanks for having me onto your channel, guys. It's always a great pleasure. So, yeah, I have a YouTube channel called Napoli Talk. We do, I guess, content on Napoli. We go live after every match and just, speak with the community. Sometimes it's therapy when we lose, sometimes it's more happy when we win. So, yeah, that's a little bit about what I do. Just content on Napoli.
Yes, sir. Very true. And of course, I'm joined by my co-host Napoli Debo, also known as Dan. And so, fellas, let's just get right into it. The chat seems to be popping right now, so we'll go straight into the topics. The first one being,
am I not your dad anymore? What the hell?
well, I'm pretty sure they all know that at this point, but father. All right. So the mid-season grades is what we're gonna go over, guys. So of course, we'll start with the backline defenders. Debo, did you want to start with this one? Or you want me to start? It's all up to you. I'm gonna start with Vanya.
I can start. So for me, the back line is a little bit all over the place, to be honest. I think that there's a lot of things that you can discuss about specific players that maybe haven't met up to the expectation. Like for me, Bukema and Buongiorno, I think could be doing better. They've both had some injuries to deal with. And then other players like Juan Jesus has stepped up big time in the absence of injured players. So, I mean, for me, Rachmani has been the rock all year. So he's got the overall best grade for me with an A. And then I also gave Juan Jesus an A just because he's been able to be consistent, hasn't really had a bad match that we can say is, I think he could have played a little bit better today, to be honest. That stupid yellow card, but he's definitely been somebody that everybody can get worried about, but he's been really good this year. And then Spinazzola has played, that left back in the back four quite a bit, and he was one of our best players, especially at the beginning of the season. Gutierrez has worked out really good, so I gave him a B. And let's see, who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting D'Lo. He played right back also. So D'Lo, I gave a B. And then like just an overall grade for the defense. Not very good at the beginning of the season, to be honest. We were letting in a lot of goals. So I would say recently very good, 3 straight clean sheets now. And that back three has really started to make us very structured in the back. And I'd have to say overall between a B and a C, something like that.
Okay, fair enough. So you kind of went over the whole back line. I was going to go one by one, but you pretty much got that out of the way. Dom, if you do want to start with Vanya, and then we'll go to Meret, Rachmani, Di Lorenzo, Bukema. Whoever you want to talk about, I'll bring up their picture, but we'll start with Vanya.
Yeah, let's start with Vanya. So, came in and we didn't really know whether he was going to get minutes with Meret. In the end, it almost became an obligation. Well, it is an obligation for him to get minutes because of the injury. But look, I think overall he's been great. He's given us something a little bit extra going forward. No, with those long passes. I think it was tough for him also to come from Torino, where you get 10 shots on goal at you throughout the game. You're always warm, and if you can pull off 8 great saves, people think that you had a great game, and maybe you lose 2-0 anyways, right? But you did your 8 great saves. Here, there were many games where for 90 minutes he had nothing to do. His muscles are cold, and then 90th minute he's forced to make a save, and you've got that one chance to get it right. That's it. And many times he did that. So I think he did super well. I think there was also some games like the one against Benfica that he had a lapsus where he was even arguing with the defenders, and it was his fault for the goals or for the chances that the other team had. So he's had these moments, but overall, there was those 2 penalty saves in big moments of the season as well. Overall, I think he did well. I think he passed the test. I think we can debate Meta to him, but if we're thinking about just Vanja, I think we're happy with what he's done, how he's progressed. So for me, honestly, an A is deserved.
Okay, perfect. So I would give him a B plus, just right off the A- mark, just because he had a little blunderfest of a couple weeks there. He looked a little iffy, but that could have been the whole backline in general in cooperation with him. I mean, it goes either way with the backline, but I give him a B plus. For that reason being the shot stopping, the command of the aerial presence. I think his only real limitation, to be honest, is he's not amazing in the buildup. I mean, in terms of the Conte defensive structure, I think he's phenomenal. I think he works better than Medet, but I don't think it helps our ball possession in terms of the attacking force. That's just me, though. That's just what I see. You guys could disagree, in all honesty, but I would still definitely have Vanya over Medet, in my opinion. Okay, Dom. So let's go over to Rachmani. Just because Medet, he hasn't played too much this season. We've seen more of Vanya. But what about Rachmani? A bit of an underrated stud, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, I think now we can't be talking about underrated anymore. He won Best Defender of the Serie A award. So I think people are starting to notice maybe outside the Serie A, he's still underrated. Like if you were to say, okay, let's think of the top defenders in Europe, and you're speaking to a La Liga fan, a Premier League fan, they're like, who's Rachmani, man? And he literally won Best Defender of the Serie A. So he still has to, I think, put in these performances at a European level. But in terms of the Serie A, he dominates literally every striker that comes up against him. When I saw him in person against Atalanta and against Juve, he literally won every single ball. He had uncomfortable strikers to deal with, like Scamacca. Like he really imposed himself. And when he was injured, guys, when he was injured, it was a disaster. Our back line couldn't keep up. We had no idea what we were doing. We were letting in goals left, right, and center. Rachmani came back immediately. Things got so much more solid. So,
Definitely.
if you were to, ask me a rating, honestly, another A for me.
Cool. So I also gave him an A, one of the higher grades on our team in general. Like Vincenzo said here, man, he's basically the definition of you don't notice him because he's doing his job. He's not a big name that people know about, but Napoli fans know him very, very well. His positioning is excellent. The error rate is very low. He wins most of his aerial duels. I just think he's a phenomenal part of our defense, and he's overlooked by everybody that aren't Napoli fans. That's just my opinion.
But this is good for us, by the way.
Yeah.
Like we don't want other teams to be coming in and being like, "Oh, I like this guy." Like we want players to be underrated.
Yeah.
Up until the moment that they say we want to leave, then we want everybody to be speaking about them, so we can ask for an extra 20 million for him, right?
Exactly.
But if they don't put in a transfer request and we have no intention to sell him, then I'm happy for other people not to know about him.
Very true. Keep him to us. We'll gladly take him. Okay, so now next up is our one and only Capitano, Giovanni Di Lorenzo. So as you guys know, he hasn't been the same per se, but Dom, just go ahead and get into his grade and his level of play this season so far.
I'm gonna start with the grade, and then I'll justify it. I'm giving him a C-, which
Wow.
is because I think he can do a lot more. He wasn't able, in my opinion, to step up in the big moments of the season. I'm thinking about that game against Man City, and there were other moments that he let the team down. I think immediately after the Man City game, I think it was the game against Lecce, where as well, and I think that the way that Conte got mad at the team against Bologna should never have to happen. I don't think the coach should ever have to be in a position to say, these people are not following me, I might leave, all that. I think if the coach is saying that, the captain's not done his job in keeping the things, at the right to keep the ship steady. So I think he lacked leadership. He wasn't there in the right moments. He's now back on track in terms of, he's putting in decent performances now that he's in that back three. But my God, up until the end of November, Di Lorenzo really struggled. And when Lukaku came back into the team in terms of being on the bench, we saw it against the Atalanta game and the Juve game. The team picked up, and I think that it's because he's the real leader in the dressing room and not Di Lorenzo. And I think Di Lorenzo really struggled this year because I think he got a little bit exposed. With Lukaku not being in the squad in the dressing room, Di Lorenzo got exposed. And yeah, look, I think he's doing good now. The past month, he's always our Scudetto winning captain, but C minus so far this season. This is maybe unpopular.
I mean, I gave him a B minus just because, like, you made some very great points. But like Vincenzo mentioned, he has been much better in the 3-4-3, either as a wingback or a CB. In terms of the other formations that we've used, he hasn't been as effective. And of course, we know him and Politano haven't had the best link up this year, but I still think he has great defensive IQ. You did mention the locker room. I still believe he has great leadership per se, but I don't think he's the captain this team needs at this point. We can discuss about that just a little bit later. Like, I think someone like McTominay should be the captain. Just my opinion. I know that Di Lorenzo is our one and only captain for quite a while now, and he's won a couple Scudettos with us, but I would probably change that up. But that might, that's very controversial with people. It's bad to kind of change the captain like that, especially when he's on your team starting. But I gave him a B minus. Debo, remind me, what did you give Dilo?
Below a B a B.
A B. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm close to your C side. Then I'm closer than a Debo, but I think a C minus is still fair, just because given his overall season status, I think that is fair.
I mean,
I think we all agree that he's not had the best season, right, so far, and potentially, someone in the chat, I don't remember who, maybe Anthony, is saying, maybe the cycle is coming to an end, and I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
we really need to think, maybe not now in the winter, but this summer, about someone that can take over.
Yeah, and we'll definitely discuss about the transfer market later on too for some needs. So
my biggest thing with D'Lo, to be honest, is that I think when he's put in the right position where he can go more forward, that he's been much better when he's, let's just say, lack for a better words, relied on being a great defender. You know what I mean? So like when he's given the freedom to be more forward, I think it makes him a better defender because then he feels more comfortable in what he's doing. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Tomatoes saying Mazzocchi should be the captain. Maybe if he actually started, maybe. He is Napoli born and bred, though, but that is funny. Okay. So next up, we'll go with one of our newer transfers here, Sam Bukema. Like I said, Debo, you kind of went over your whole back line. We'll go one by one after this. But Dom, if you want to start with Bukema and what you rate him.
So it's a tough one because I think he's put in good performances. I don't remember that many bad ones, but for whatever reason, he's not able to, be a solid starter, or like a consistent starter. So probably Conte's seeing something in his performances that is not quite convincing him. Is it the way that he does his build-up play? Is it something else? I don't know, but I'll go for a B for Sam Bukema. Like, nothing bad happened with him this year. There was no, him causing penalties or stuff like that. But he's not had maybe the impact that a 30 million euro player maybe should be having, right? Buongiorno last year came in immediately a starter. Sam hasn't been able to do that.
Agreed. Yeah. He hasn't been what we expected per se. I mean, he was a force with a Bologna, but then again, he hasn't got as many minutes as we would have liked. But he is great in his duels. His aggression is definitely there. Ball progression as well. I think the only thing that he really lacks is he struggles almost like Di Lorenzo against a quick opponent whose techno forward leads them into a space. But other than that, I would give him a B plus, just right on the edge of what you graded him. I think once he gets more minutes and more playing time, we'll see it go up. Just because I think we all believe that he is a great defender. I mean, he was one of the better ones in Serie A last season. So,
But where would you rate him in terms of now? Just in terms of the five that we have, I'll include Marianucci in there. Is he ahead or behind Juan Jesus in terms of?
ooh, okay. So talent wise, I think we can all
Is
agree
he our
that
fourth defender?
I know we do have a lot on the back line. So I gave Jesus. I'll say it later, but I think it was either a B or a B plus. I have to look over all my notes. But Bukama, talent wise, I think we can all agree that he's more talented than Jesus. However, Juan Jesus under Conte has been a complete shift in skill level. He's been one of our most consistent defenders. I mean, we all know that Juan Jesus, man, 90% of the Napoli Nation community did not like the guy. He made a lot of mistakes, a lot of critical mistakes. But in terms of under Conte, man, he's been so freaking reliable. But Bukama is more talented, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So I would put Bukama just above Juan Jesus for that reason alone.
Same, but I think Conte will disagree with you.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's almost played him more this season, you know? So
Yep. I guess we'll get to Juan Jesus at some point.
I think
definitely, yes, we will. Right after this one right here, actually.
I think some folks are having some problems with viewing things correctly and the chats being split up.
On the vertical one?
Yeah, like I think it might not even matter. I don't know if you know how to fix that, Mario, but I think that we're having a problem. Can anybody out there confirm if you're still having some viewing problems and the chat maybe not being?
Oh yes, I see it right now. Okay,
split?
so what I'll do is I will take off the vertical one. I wanted to try it this stream, but I can see our faces are all cut off right now. So let me just take that off. Apologies, this is our first time doing this with the vertical view. But while I do that, Dom, I will bring up Alessandro Buongiorno, a stud from Torino, who unfortunately hasn't gotten enough playing time this season due to injury and other reasons we don't know. But go ahead and rate him for us if you can.
This is a tough one. This is super tough, guys, because he's had his injuries, so it's always tough to give ratings to a guy who might not be at the top of his form. You feel like you want to give him a bit of a break for some of his performances, but I have to say he's had a worse season than last time round with us, and because of that, I'm going to give him a B minus. I don't think he's been bad. But he's had a worse season. He's had maybe some unfortunate events as well, like that own goal against PSV that kind of swung the momentum to PSV after we, had the initial first goal. So yeah, not the best 6 months of his career. I don't think they were bad, but not the best. And the fact that he didn't get basically any minutes in the Super Cup and wasn't a starter today against Cremonese, I think speaks volumes of the fact that Conte does not see him as the same Buongiorno as last year.
Agreed. So in terms of grade, what did you give him?
A B minus.
B minus. Okay. So I gave him a B, just a little bit above yours, just because, I like to include the talent level and all that, but yours is definitely fair. I feel like he's solid in his passing. His mentality is definitely there. He's one of our most extravagant players that we have on our team. He can even be in discussion for a captain's armband. His solidity is definitely there too on the defensive side. However, he is a little bit injury prone. So I don't know. Overall, I think he's a reliable stopper who complements the defense well. And I think he handles the ball pressure as good as well. So a B for me and a B minus from Dom. So next up, we will go to...
What did Dan put for Buongiorno?
Yeah, what did you put? You kind of said them all at once.
I might be a little bit harsh, but I have him at a C plus just because I feel like he hasn't looked comfortable and he hasn't been aggressive like he was last year. And there's something going on in training, I have to imagine, because he seems to be fit enough to start and he hasn't started recently. So he's supposed to be that level of center back in my mind where he can be considered a defensive player of the year. He's got that much talent, and I've just been disappointed in his overall play this year. So that's why I did C plus. We're talking from a talent perspective. Just we know that he's an A when it comes to talent. So I just have higher expectations for him than I think some. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I think when you consider his potential peak, it does make you think that oof, this year he's not been. I think some of these player ratings, also for the audience, you have to also think that they're based off not only the performance but also what is the expected performance of that particular player, and he's been just so far off his potential peak that it penalizes him.
I agree. C plus is crazy though. C plus is crazy. My opinion though. I don't know. Okay. So Dom, this is your boy, all reliable. We were talking about him earlier, Mr. Juan Jesus. Please tell us.
Yeah, so okay, I'm gonna give some context. So back in 2020, when Spalletti decided to bless us with Jesus, I made a video saying this is why Spalletti brought Juan Jesus, right? And I got so much hate on that video, guys. People were like, even in
Mm.
2020, they were like, man, what is this? Like we're getting Inter and Roma rejects. And I said, look, this guy, like he's composed. He's a leader. He can bring qualities to the defense that is important more so than in any other position. Like I don't think, for example, a striker needs to be a leader necessarily, but a defender does, because the defender sees the game. The way that he's facing, literally his body orientation, he sees the game and he speaks to people more so than any other player that has to look at 360 degrees. The defender is always looking out for his other team members, and Juan Jesus is that guy. When he's on the field, you feel like he's the captain more than Di Lorenzo. Juan Jesus is the captain. Think of who goes and speaks to the referee when he's on the field. It's always him. And I think he's, always able to put in a good performance. Today was maybe his worst one of the seasons in that game against Cremonese, and even then it wasn't that bad. So for me, he's very close to his peak. He's not got the talent of the likes of Buongiorno and Belkema, but he's so consistently near his peak with Antonio Conte that for me he deserves an A.
Wow. Okay. Fair grade. I gave him a B, just because I like to put in the talent perspective of things. But you guys are going off the season itself, which is fair enough. Like I said, I mean, he's all reliable. He's been so reliable for us all season long when he has to step into the pitch. Plain as that. He's a great rotational defender, as I mentioned earlier. Great when he has to step up, and almost like Elmas as well. Just a great guy that can step into the field whenever we need a perfect sub. So Juan Jesus, I gave him a B just because I like to include the whole talent perspective. But I don't know. I mean, overall, he has been one of our better defenders. I mean, it's tough to say he hasn't, to be honest. If you look at all the games that we've played, he's one of the
Yeah.
better ones. So, Debo, what did you give Juan Jesus?
I gave him an A too, only because I think he's, like I said before, he hasn't had a bad match. I think
This was
today,
his worst one, and it wasn't bad.
yeah,
As
that
Dom
yellow
said.
card was the yellow card for me was. I mean, that could have turned out to hurt us a little bit, but the fact that Conte kept him in, he played the entire match, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think he was subbed out. Just says a little bit more about his leadership and his ability to play with a yellow card means something. When you can leave a center back in there with a yellow card for the entire match when he gets one in the first half, that says something about him. So it's just, dude, he's not crazy talented, but he has stepped in and he is. I mean, since he's been playing regularly, our defense has gotten better, right? I mean, that's how I feel. Has it? Do you think so, Dom? Like, has our defense been solidified along with him playing and the back three? Is it a lot because of him?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think that when he's there, you don't get a sense of weakness or anything like that. I do think that he's also able to get the right passing lanes as well. So yeah, I mean, with him on the field, I think we're fine.
I can't admit though, like he still makes me nervous sometimes.
Yeah,
Because I
well,
know that he's not gonna. I
the
know
fish
he's
will
not
always be
gonna.
a fish, and
Yeah,
that's
I
his
know he's
nature.
not
He's
gonna.
a little bit clumsy, but yeah.
I know he's not gonna catch up to somebody that can burn by him, and I know that he has a tendency to let himself get dribbled by and stuff like that. But his positioning has always been really good, and I think that's been one of the strengths for him to perform like he has this year. Is just he knows where to be. He knows where he shouldn't go and try to do something he can't do. So he's a safe defender, but he just been really good.
Yeah. Dom, did you go handle what
Guys,
you
I
had
need
to
to
do?
just get the door.
No
Give
problem.
me
No problem.
5
Go for it.
seconds. 5 seconds.
Go for it. Go for
Okay.
it. Okay. So while Dom is gone, I will start off with Leonardo Spinazzola. So, man, this player for us, guys, I think this season has been one of our very most important players, man. He hasn't started every match. He was injured for just a little bit of time. But overall, man, I'm giving Spinazzola a B plus, right on the edge of an A minus. But I mean, his offensive output is undeniably one of the best on our back line, undeniably. The way that he brings the ball up and is able just to create these masterpiece goals. He does have occasional defensive issues, but as we know, he's more of a attacking wingback per se. But overall, I think he's our most dangerous fullback going forward by far, with Di Lorenzo as a second. But Dom, what do you think about Spinazzola?
Man, this is a wild take. I cannot believe you only gave him a B plus.
I know. Okay, I know.
I
It should be in the A's because he's one of our better
will
players.
give you
I
5 seconds to change your mind.
Okay, A minus. I'll put him in the A. I'll put him in the A.
Man, he was our best player up until he got injured at the end of October. He was our best player. He was by far our best player. The way he's also been putting Hoyland into space. Man, he could have scored an incredible goal in the Super Cup against Bologna. Like Spinazzola, for me, has been so. I don't know if to say that. I don't know if he's our best player so far this season or second best, because I'm saving it maybe for someone else. But top two for me. When we lost against Milan, that first game, it's because he wasn't there. He played all the games. We were first in the table. We play against Milan. He wasn't there. We lose. And that was the start of our worries. But wow, for me, B plus was a wild take, man. That was wild.
Okay, the only reason I gave him A plus
for me, Spinazzola A plus. Honestly,
okay.
A plus.
No, and that's perfectly fair.
I don't know what else a guy who's a defender, what more he can do in terms of helping us get all these goals and assists and all that. This is the level of output that the guys like Hakimi and Theo Hernandez are doing, and they're getting all the laudits and being put in the FIFA top 11. And Spinazzola has been at that level for me this season, honestly.
Yes. So because he only plays defense, and I don't think he's a great defender, that's the only reason I gave him a B plus. But I think it's a little bit harsh, especially because on Twitter I have praised him nothing but good praise. I never had anything negative to say about him. But defensively, I don't think he's that guy. But I'll switch it to an A minus just because you did make a great point. But then again, we can all disagree. I mean, someone said in the chat they gave him a straight B. I wouldn't say that harsh, but B plus on the edge of A minus, I think. Debo, did you give Spinazzola a? I think you did.
If you did, yeah, Anthony Navarro didn't lift his finger up off the plus sign. He just sat it there forever. Look at that.
And it's fair enough. So, it's fair enough. He's been one of our top players.
He's even had a couple moments where he turned on the Jets, and you're like, "What?"
He's in his 30s,
there's been a couple moments this season where we forgot how fast he can be. And after I saw that, I was like, wow, this dude's crazy, man. Like after that injury and him not being able to get back to form this season, he just been crazy good. He's been crazy good. I mean, it's not blasphemous if we're looking at the end of the season and there's a Serie A top 11 and he ends up being in there. He's been that good to me.
And he's a guy that 12 months ago, we were close to releasing him. He was last Christmas, he wasn't getting any minutes in his first 6 months. We were close to releasing him. And then because we sold Kvara, we had to like find a way to get that left flank, working again. And he was put as a literally left winger for many games, and he actually delivered there. And we were like, oh, maybe he's not so bad. And he scored that goal against Roma, in the start of February. And I'm like, oh, okay, Spinazzola, he exists. Okay. And his career really then, got back to a level where even Gattuso started calling him up for the national team. So, the arc that he's been on in the last 12 months, I mean, it's inspiring, regardless of the ratings. It's like inspiring to see a guy that was, almost being released to now we're saying top 11 of the Serie A potentially.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't forget about that match. He played right back and played well over there too.
He did for Dilo.
He did. So yeah, man. He should
be there whenever Dilo needs some rest. He's not the same guy as he used to be. He's a workhorse regardless. But when Dilo needs some rest, Spinazzola can't play that way. Even though he is a bit injury prone given his history. I mean, in the Euro 2020, we can all agree that he was a worldwide name at that point. And then he got that massive injury, and people were not sure of how he would compete in any league at that point. But let me tell you, he's done great for us. Like Anthony said here, I think his best position is left wing back, not left back, not left midfield. Left wing back is his perfect position. Vincenzo says, we got both Spina and Jesus for free from Roma. Fantastic signing. Spina is arguably our best option at left wing as well. Yes, I think we all agree on that. Definitely.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so this is someone that used to start for us quite often. He hasn't been that much into this season, but it's Matias Oliveira. Dom, if you want to give your rating on him as well, go for it.
This is tough. It's crazy, like our starter now is our third choice on the left, because you would say that Spina and Gutierrez are ahead. Potentially, you could even put Juan Jesus. If you adapt Juan Jesus, probably Conte would put him above Oliveira. Look, I think the moments that he's played, he's not been bad. That's the thing, right? Like, he's not had bad games, but why he's not able to get any minutes under Conte makes me think that there's something there from a training or personal point of view or something like that. I don't think it's match fitness. I think there's something there. I think that this is a guy that also made Mauro Rui leave Napoli. Conte came in and we only had Mauro Rui and Oliveira, and he was happy to have Oliveira, just him, and not rely on Mauro Rui. So for that to happen, for him to be like Conte's man to not playing, I think something's there. And maybe it's tough to give him a bad grade because when he has played, it's been not bad. But I would have to give him a C or even a C minus because maybe he's done something that we're not seeing. So, yeah.
Sure. So I gave him a B minus just because of his defensive presence. Obviously on the attack, we know he's a major liability, unlike Spinazzola, who plays in that position. He does nothing for us in the attack. If anything, he slows down the ball possession going forward. But defensively, I think he has strong tackling, good recovery pace, and overall just a dependable defender, but not what I think Napoli needs, just given our struggles in the attack for those, 3 or 4 matches where we scored no goals. We need someone at those wing positions that can help bring that ball up. But I gave him a B minus, just right on the edge of a C, just because defensively I think he does his job well. But for this next 3 people, we have Gutierrez first. So for that, I gave him a B, and that's just given with his defensive presence. I think he's perfectly fine back there. He's very agile. His tackling in duels, he does fairly well at. We know he had that kind of blunder against Milan at that one point where kind of he was lacking behind the ball and got caught astray. But in terms of the Conte fit at that position, I think he's great. He's young. I think it's a good pickup. We'll discuss the transfer market as well later on. But I think it's one of the better pickups that we've had this season, given we also haven't seen him play as much because Spinazzola plays there whenever he's not injured, et cetera, et cetera. But I gave Gutierrez a B. Dom, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's come in maybe when Conte was not fully ready to have him come in. I think we had that, crisis in the defensive positions, like in October, something like that. And sorry, Gutierrez was like the only guy that I was able to play, and so he played and actually delivered good performances and won Conte's trust. And every time he's come in, he's been super organized, super calm on the ball. I personally love Spanish left backs, right backs. Like, I think they interpret that position so well. Just from like the Jordi Alba days, or the way that Dani Alves used to play in Barcelona. Like, even the ones that you see in Real Madrid, Carvajal, like they just always constantly deliver really good players in that position. They're like technical. They come inside. They cross the ball well. I think Spain does a really good job in that position to train these players, and to have him on our team. He brings a lot of quality, and yeah, I really like the way that he interprets that position. Good going forward. Kind of solid at defense, maybe not the best, but still solid enough. Yeah, I'm happy. So for me, B plus.
For sure, I agree. Debo, remind me again what you gave Gutierrez.
Gutierrez is a B.
B.
I think that might end up being very close, if not an A, by the end of the season, because I think as the seasons went along, that he's just gotten better and better. So we'll see if he can get up to the A level. And I think that if he is completely match fit, I think it's a toss up between him and Spina. You know what I mean? Because they both have different things to offer. I think Spina's much better, going forward and breaking down his man. But I think Gutierrez is much more well-rounded than Spina. So that's a good luxury to have, man. And I know Dom mentioned that Olivetta is a third choice, and man, that's why I gave Olivetta a C plus, man. You go from being one of our best players last year to this year being the third choice. I think Dom's got a point, man. There's supposed to be something else going on that is keeping him from, you know, not being a starter more often. So yeah,
So
I'm
Dom, you
I'm
did get a
loving
question.
Gutierrez.
You did get a question in the chat saying Juan Lu in the January transfer market. Is he the right back Gutierrez?
I think it won't happen. Won't happen in January. I think that this was something that we should have done in the summer. But yeah, I think Sevilla, that what they want to do is that they want to make some money. So they'll let him go maybe this next summer, but you got to pay, and we we can't be doing that this winter with our mercado being kind of blocked. I think we'll be moving with like loans and stuff like that, and Sevilla's not interested in that. They need cash.
I
So
agree. Yeah. Okay, guys. So for the last two of the back line, we have two people we haven't seen very often. The first one we'll bring up here is Luca Marianucci. So real quick, I'll give him his grade. I think he gets a C. I mean, overall, we haven't seen too much of the guy. We know that from Empoli, he had potential, and then we threw him into the Milan match because we had no other option, and we did get him see exposed by Pulisic, and it's a tough situation. Um, Pulisic is up for debate for MVP of the Serie A at this very moment, and he was just kind of thrown to the wolves there. But I gave him ASC. I think he has a high ceiling at a very young age, but he obviously needs time. Dom, did you have any input on Marianucci at all? I know we haven't seen him too often.
Well, maybe more than input. Maybe I have some juice on
Okay.
Marianucci. A bit of an
Uh-oh.
exclusive. No, but it's interesting. After one of the games, um, my uncle said he saw him at a pub, and he was enjoying himself quite a lot.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it goes back to something that I said maybe last week, with the fact that he was in the under 21 Italian team, and then he got a yellow card in one of the games. Well, he scored in one of the games this season for the under 21s. Then in the next game, he got a yellow card, and the coach of the under 21 said that he saw something in his behavior that he didn't like, in the way that he dealt with that yellow card and maybe what he saw outside the field in terms of, maybe his, work ethic and things like that. And I'm not trying to put two and two together and making like a big, thing out of it. But this is a guy who has such a good opportunity in his life, and had such a good opportunity in October to, get consistent minutes in a big team like Napoli, and he didn't take that chance for one reason or another, right? I'm sure that, I'm sure that there would have been things that he could have done to convince Conte more, and he didn't do those things, right? And so for that reason, I'm gonna give him a D for Dom, because my guy, like, you will have this one great chance in your life. Don't blow it. And I think he's blowing it, because Conte gave chances to Vergara, gave chances even to Ambrosino, and we didn't have. We had the opportunity to give Marianucci more chances in October, and we didn't. And for that reason, I think that if Conte decided to do that, it's because he saw something he didn't like, and you can't be wasting these kind of chances and getting away with it. So for me, it's a D.
Understandable. Debo, what did you give Marianucci?
Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that do we expect a whole lot out of him, especially the first year? So I don't want to be too harsh on him, but it's obvious that Conte doesn't trust him for some reason. So he might be one of those players that gets shipped out this summer just because he hasn't really made an impact. And I think that he has some talent where he should be making some type of impact, but he hasn't. So that doesn't make me feel comfortable about him being kept this summer.
Yeah, he could be one of those options that we have out to a loan, almost like the Natan situation, where we know he was talented, but just didn't work out for us. But we'll see. Apparently, from Dom, from your situation there with your uncle at the pub, he seems like a little hothead. So Conte, I know Conte does not appreciate that at all.
I think these players, they need to not only play well, but they need to be like all-rounded professionals to get minutes with Conte. I think Conte looks at the tiniest details. He'll take a look at whether you say hello in the morning to the receptionist, and if you forgot to say it, you're not playing. Like, he really wants like top level people as well as top players. And maybe the young ones that don't quite make it, like you mentioned, Natan, Rafa Marin, this guy, maybe it's because they don't yet have this kind of professionalism, or haven't learned it yet, the kind of professionalism that Conte wants from his players. And Conte's not the type of guy to go like teaching you and holding your hand. You either have it or you don't. You either realize it or you don't. And maybe they're too young to realize it, and they don't play.
Yeah. If there's one thing that Conte will do, though, is allow you to play to your highest level. I mean, we saw that with Juan Jesus. So it's really up to the player themselves, personality-wise, if they really want to step up to the pitch. But I don't know. We'll see with Marianucci, a young, high-ceiling player. I hope the best for him. I hope that we can somehow figure out if we can utilize him on the pitch. But next up, we have Pasquale Mazzocchi, il Napoletano. So, Debo, you probably want to talk about him just a little bit. Dom, you can go right after him. I'll be right back. Just give me like a 1 minute in general, but I'll be back by this. Okay.
Okay. Mazzocchi is, I guess he's been what we can expect from him. It's not like, I'm going to be honest, when we signed him, I did think that we were going to get a lot more playing time, if anything else, than what he's given us. But I have to imagine that he's an important player in the locker room just for his personality and the fact that he is from the city. So my grade was a C. It's an average grade. He's an average player. So I don't know. What do you think, Dom?
Yeah, no, there's not much to say about Mazzocchi. He's in a context that's far superior to his skill level. And I think it's impressive that whenever he does gets minutes, I always think it's impressive, that he's done enough that week to show Conte that he deserves some minutes. So, because Conte doesn't do charity, right? If he puts you on the field, it's because he saw something in you that week, and for him to even get a minute, I think is impressive, because it means that he went above and beyond what nature gave him, because his level is Salernitana, and maybe not even the Serie A Salernitana, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, look, but he's a guy that's living his childhood dream, which is always super nice to see. But if we're being honest, it has to be, C for
Look at
Mazzocchi.
Anthony, man. Anthony's like, all he's really good for is coming up with the nickname in Fratima. That's terrible.
He did create a
That
wave
was
doing
last
that.
season. That was last season. Come on.
No.
Can't be.
So Dom, you gave him a C. Debo, what did you give him?
I see.
Okay. I give him a C as well. It's a Neapolitan living his dream, playing for SSG Napoli. But we obviously know that he's a great locker room presence. I mean, all the players love him. He's there when we need him, as a last option. But like Vergara, he is based Neapolitan. But Vergara, I think he has a very high ceiling. We'll talk about him just a little bit later. But C for Mazzocchi. I think that's fair. Okay, guys. So next up, we'll go into the midfielders. With that being started, the reigning Serie A MVP, Scott McTominay. Dom, go ahead and start us off with that.
Well, Scott, I mean, look, it's almost a shame that you're asking me this, and it's about this season and not for the past 18 months, because the past 18 months would be an A+. But maybe this season, he's been just a little bit lower than he was last year. But even with the fact that his numbers are not as high, he's been, the most consistent midfielder that we've had, just because he's not, missed that many games. And he's been able to play with De Bruyne, play with Anguissa, play with Lobotka, play with Elmas, play with Vergara, he's been able to adapt 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 4-5, whatever, whatever, he's been able to do the job and learn what Conte wants from him. So he's been the heart of this team. And yeah, even though his numbers are not that high, he's been fundamental. I think had he been injured as well, we would have been nowhere this year. So I'll give him an A.
For sure. Debo, what do you give him?
Well, I feel like a dummy right now.
Why is that?
After everything Dom just said, I gave him a B+.
Oh,
yeah. So for me, the one thing that takes me back just a little bit is just his production, but we can't harp on that too much, because he's put into a position where production's going to come down. But I do think there are moments in matches where he could do a little bit more when it comes to scoring and giving assists. So that's the only reason I give him a B+, but I feel stupid now.
So I would give him in the middle.
Dom's got great points the whole time. Everything that Dom said was spot on. So
definitely.
Maybe an A-, somewhere in the middle. That's probably
that's exactly where I have him at.
No, yeah.
So I gave him an A-. I mean, we know how critical McFratima is to our team. I mean, without him, that midfield, given all of our talent, is not the same. It's not. He was forced to play more on the wider edge of the midfield when KDB was playing. I think that kind of brought down his game just a little bit from what we've seen. We know he's good at that box-to-box kind of physicality. It was just a little bit different for him. But to say that he played bad there is completely wrong. I mean, he just wasn't up to his full potential. And the thing about McTominay, like Lobotka, for example, he doesn't need to score goals or get assists to make an impact in the match. I mean, without him out there, we are not the same team. Okay. So versatility is definitely there. I mean, he's shown he can play in different positions in the midfield. His only limitation really, I wouldn't say his passing creativity is super functional. It's not really like elite, like we're used to seeing with like KDB or even Lobotka, passing from the back. But I do think he brings the ball up very well in terms of, in relation with our other midfielders there. I think he's very good at that and creating a attacking force. But I give him an A minus right between you two. I think all these grades are fair. I don't know about a B plus. I would definitely put him in the A range. I mean, he's still that guy for us. But yeah, A minus for me for a McFatima, but that's just me. So
his stats in today's game. Shout out to Napoli Zone, who's always got great info out there on X, and he always shoots out stats after the game. And man, his stats after this game are crazy. And you're like, was he really that good? Yeah, he is really that good. It's just that, and he got an assist today. But when he doesn't have, like, maybe we just got spoiled from these crazy goals that he had last year.
He's
The
also a very
Scudetto
streaky
goal
player, very streaky. Once he gets on a little hot streak, but I think he's still very important to us. So someone else that I thought was pretty important to us before he got injured, that being Mr. King KDB, Kevin De Bruyne. Dom, I'm really interested to hear your rating on the KDB. What would you give him, given he is injured? But
this one's tricky. Yeah, I don't know, because most of the goals that he scored, like were, that free kick that was kind of strange one against Sassuolo, the penalties. But then you watch the penalty shootout between Bologna and Inter that they missed like 10 penalties, and you think, okay, we shouldn't underestimate scoring a penalty. I mean, we take it for granted, but those are big penalties, big moments, even the one that he got injured on against Inter. And definitely we went through some seasons where like Zielinski and Osimhen and all these guys couldn't score them, and so maybe we don't give those kind of moments, the big pressure moments, enough importance, and he always delivered in those moments. And I think he did good. There were moments where he was, our best player on the field. I think his arrival boosted Napoli's image, which also is something that should not maybe be part of his player ratings, but we should be thankful for. But he did cause us some problems in terms of he moved Scott out of his natural position and all that. So maybe another player would have been better instead of KDB. I don't know. I always get that feeling of like, what if it wasn't KDB? Then Scott wouldn't have to have played on the left for all those games. It's super tough. I will go for a B for De Bruyne because he was useful, but maybe he caused us also some problems indirectly, right? Not because he was bad, but because he's such a big presence.
And Debo, what would you give KDB?
Stupid again. C plus. So for me, I can't think of one moment from a world-class player, like one of the best midfielders in the history of the game. I can't think of one moment other than that pass to Højlund in the Champions League where he reminded us who he is. My expectations were super high for him, and I thought that his distribution of the ball was going to be the thing that just blew us away. But he hasn't been that guy. He hasn't been terrible, but it's KDB. So I just think my grade is more about the expectations than anything else. I don't fault him for what, he indirectly caused, like Dom mentioned, with McTominay sort of playing out of position. I don't fault him for that. It's just that I expect a little bit more. And then the moment of his attitude problem when he was getting subbed off when he didn't think he should have been subbed off rubbed me the wrong way a little bit also. So those things, everything put together is just why I have him at a C plus. Very close to a B minus, but a C plus is what I gave him.
I'll change my grade. I think Dan put some really good points that now maybe I didn't remember like that attitude thing, and the fact that maybe there was only one real world-class moment. Yeah, I'll change my grade to a C plus.
Oh
Really?
boy. Now all the
Yeah.
subscribers now that are KDB lovers are gonna unsubscribe. Watch.
Well, it's okay because I gave KDB a B. All right. So
Also,
Oh,
Mario,
you
just
saved
yeah,
us, Mario.
yeah.
one thing. Also, there's a lot of maybe more so on the Italian Twitter side of things, but there's a lot of like um, not hate but criticism towards KDB that he's not like saying anything about the team. Like we won the Super Cup and he didn't post anything. He didn't, and I think what I said was, that he came to Napoli and that gave us like a social media boost. But if you're not posting about the team and you're not, then we're not really getting the benefits of that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, part of why you're here is that you need to be that guy on social media that promotes Napoli because you have, I don't know how many million more followers than Napoli. And I think players need to also think of that, when like, what's my role in this team in the 90 minutes and in the entire ecosystem? Am I just a player that's here to play 90 minutes or am I part of the growth of this club?
Do you
And
think it's possible that oh, I hate to say something so controversial and negative, but do you think it's possible that he didn't post something on purpose?
I think
I mean,
he's
why wouldn't you?
shy, right?
You
He's
know?
shy. He's not that outgoing type of guy. So I don't think it's like in spite of Napoli, but
Mm,
I don't think he's fully realized what his role here needs to be or could be. He could be that guy that literally doubles the number of fans that we have. We have what, like 4 or 5 million on Instagram?
mhm.
We could really reach 10 just with one single guy fully, getting behind us, posting about us, showing people the city, showing, being like Dries Mertens, but with 20 times more
Oh
followers
yeah.
for us. Imagine if
Yeah.
Mertens had his type of,
Yeah,
fan
man.
base, right? And that's also why Napoli are paying the big money for him. It's so that he can elevate us not only on the field but outside, and he needs to realize that that's the role that he needs to play. And Conte's not going to tell him to do that. Conte doesn't care about that,
Oh
but
no, yeah.
he needs to realize that this is also why he's here, not just what he does on the field. And yeah, I know that's somehow also something that I think should be reflected in the player ratings, and I think that only applies to him. I don't think any
Mm.
other player should have this linked to their player rating. It should only be about kind of attitude and what you do on the football field with the ball. But with KDB, he's such a special player, such an iconic player, that we should also judge him based on, can he has he grown Napoli the way that he could, because he can do that.
I wonder if the marketing for the club is looking at that, especially after some of the stuff that you're saying is being put out there on X and stuff from the Napoli fans. Hmm.
And you guys make some great points. Now I feel
Should be
bad
on
for
the
giving it a B.
contract, should be like
Yeah, right?
post X many times per month about Napoli. Like,
Yeah.
this is something. It's weird that it's not on the contract because De Laurentiis, you know how thick those contracts are, and
Yeah.
surprised this is not there. But yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys both made great points, but I'll
Well,
be the generous one
I'm
here.
gonna do a mic drop. Hold on, I'm just gonna leave now because I got Dom to change his grade. I mean, I have arrived, you know.
Well, you made some great points. The thing about KDB is that I do think he has a bit of an ego. I mean, can you blame the guy? I mean, he was one of the biggest Premier League midfielders in the world. That comes with some stature. We know they're the biggest league in the world. Sadly, I don't like the Premier League. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I mean, given his talent, I gave him a B. I think he did enough for us. He's gone through some injuries, another big one this season as well with us. He's much more limited than what he used to be, but at one point, I mean, he was our best player in terms of goals and assists. I mean, he had 6 before he got injured, and I think it was a pretty big deal. And like Anthony mentioned here, He was definitely ready to link up with Lukaku. Okay. No one could have seen Lukaku getting injured in a preseason match. Mind you, when Lukaku and KDB are back and healthy, I mean, Lukaku is supposedly healthy. I don't know what's going on with that situation. But those two for Belgium link up so very well. And Vincenzo made a great point as well. His link up with Hoyland was really freaking good. Really good. So I'll give him a B just because I think he did enough for us. Dom, you did mention that he forced McTominay out of his natural position, and I think that is fair as well. The whole social media thing, I think, is fair too. But I'll give him a B. But you guys with the C plus honestly make some great points, so I can't really debate too much on that. But let's just give him a B minus overall. I think that would be fair. B minus, right on the edge. I don't know. Okay, so Vincenzo, he has a question for us. Is Conte already the greatest coach in Napoli history? Won us a Scudetto as underdogs in a close race with Inter, won the Supercoppa, and still has us very much in the title race. Debo, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think?
I think his question answers the question.
Answered itself.
Like everything that he said, I don't even think it's debatable, to be honest. I mean, you're gonna want people to talk about. God, I don't even name the coach, man. What's the coach's name, Dom? When Maradona did his thing,
Bianchi, Orlando
Bianchi.
Bianchi,
That's right.
or
I mean,
Bigon.
you're always gonna have people that want to talk about Bianchi because of what he did to include an UEFA Cup, but nobody can say that they really thought that Conte was going to be this successful 2 years in a row. You know, like 2 trophies now, and we're a Scudetto contender, if not one of the co-favorites this year, and all the injuries that he's had to deal with. I don't know if it's really debatable, to be honest. You know, I think that if he's able to get a Scudetto this year, that will be back to back. They've never done that. It'll be 3 trophies, and it's immediate. Like, he didn't need any time to get Napoli to win a Scudetto, you know what I mean? So, I don't think it's very debatable, and I don't think anybody should even say that there's any discussion if we get another Scudetto, whether it's this year or next year. That's just me, though.
Yeah. I mean, we know that Spalletti did amazing things with the team that we had in the 2023 season, but Conte won it as definite underdogs. I mean, we were a 1 point differential from Inter, who thankfully choked their last match to allow us to even win the Scudetto. But I don't know. Conte is just another beast in the domestic league. I mean, we know his success from his history. Can't say the same about UCL. It's terrible. But in terms of Serie A or the Premier League with Chelsea, he literally brought us, like Chelsea, from 10th place the prior season to the trophy. I mean, it's undeniable how much of an impact this guy makes. So I definitely think that he is the best coach that we've had in this Napoli history. You could put Bianchi up there as the debate, but then again, he had a pretty strong squad. You know, even putting Maradona aside, I think the squad was stronger overall than what we have now. So I don't know. I would definitely put him up there. And if he gets a back-to-back or even 2 trophies in his 3 seasons, if he ends up staying, I don't know. De Laurentiis trying to extend him and all that. We'll see what happens with that. But I think he's undeniably our best coach. Dom, what do you think?
It's tough. So, okay, I don't think winning the Scudetto and Super Cup is all different from just winning a Scudetto, which is what Spalletti did. You could argue Spalletti didn't have the opportunity to go and win a Super Cup with us because he left after the Scudetto, right? I just think of that year with Spalletti, like the level of football that we played, I think is the absolute highest that probably we will see from Napoli, from like dominate the league perspective, dominate teams like in the Champions League. Guys, we won Champions League games with 4 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals. Like, we were going crazy there. So yeah, but neither of them are as good as Walter Mazzarri.
Yo.
Dom, you talk about Spalletti's season, and I do see your point about us being so dominant in that league that year. But bro, man, we had the best striker, the best winger, and the best
Wow.
center back with zero debate in the league that year. Those three players were incredible that year.
Yeah.
You know, so for Spalletti to institute his way of playing, those players made it easy on him. Conte hasn't been able to have that level of a striker. Cavada
Yes.
never was that guy for him in Conte's first year, and I do think that maybe some of that was the style of play that was limiting Cavada, and then Keem was gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just
The thing
I
is
understand what you're
if we
saying, but
take, if we take players as so, if you rate the coach also based on the players at your disposal, then as Brian Wood says, Eddie Rea did miracles
Great
with that
point.
team. Walter Mazzarri built up that he played Campagnaro, Aronica, and these
yeah,
guys against Chelsea in the Champions League and almost got away with it. I mean, yeah, it's super tough. And then I think we're underestimating, Sarri ball. That was
Mhm.
crazy. That was crazy times, and the impact. I think so. Okay, here's the thing. What do we mean by best coach? We have to define that because the one that had the absolute biggest impact on us is for me Rafa Benitez.
Really?
Benitez brought in Mertens, Callejon, Koulibaly, Higuain. I mean, we did that step up in terms of we're gonna be an international team. We're gonna bring in guys from Real Madrid, Albiol, I forgot as well. Like he was the founder of the Napoli team that we still have now. Like it all started Mazzarri, yeah, he did things in Europe and we had a good team, but we were still playing with, players that we would take from Serie B, from lower Serie A teams. Rafa Benitez came in, it's like, whoa, Napoli got Rafa Benitez, a Champions League winner. Yeah, I want to play for Napoli now, And we started getting guys from Real Madrid. We got three guys from Real Madrid in one summer. I mean, that's when really Napoli changed to being okay. Here we are. The boys are back. We're back to doing things that the big guys in Europe do. And if Rafa Benitez didn't come to Napoli, we would have been always in a inferior kind of level, in my opinion. I think he's the one that really elevated us. So in terms of impact, it's that. But
yeah,
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 he
man,
didn't win,
yeah.
and he won. He won, by the way, a Super Cup.
Yeah.
He won Coppa Italia. Got us, big trophies. Or did he win a Coppa Italia with us? Yeah, he did. No,
Yeah.
he won a
Mhm.
Coppa Italia. We should have won a UEFA Cup with him. We got to the semis and we got knocked out very, very unfortunately with a
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
three
damn.
meter offside goal against the club that doesn't exist anymore. But yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. I think we're underestimating Rafa Benitez's impact. But yeah, it's tough. I think look, if Conte wins one more trophy, then it's no doubt Conte. But right now, I see them as kind of him, Spalletti. You could put Rafa in there. I think they're all there. One or two trophies each. They all had different level of players, so it's hard to judge. But it just takes Conte that one more. A Coppa Italia and Conte's already past them.
Yeah.
You mentioned Saudi too, man. It doesn't feel right that we weren't
Not
able to get
mentioning
any
him.
trophy with Saudi, man.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
We
Oh,
deserved it.
doesn't feel right. Yeah. But the Walter Mazzarri, like I think it was Anthony Novato mentioned about there you go, man. Dude, you already talked about Aronica being our full-time center back. That team, when it comes to like passion and desire and just the will to do everything that you can get out of yourself on the pitch, Walter Mazzarri got the best out of those players, man. But dude, he also had Cavani, Hamsik, and Lavezzi in their prime. You know, like those three players, you can basically just say, hey, we don't need to worry about defense too much. We can have Aronica be the guy because we're just going to outscore everybody, you know? That trident was just fun to watch. And Walter Mazzotti had those dudes on, he had them firing. So,
Yeah, man. I mean,
yeah.
just the fact that we were in the UCL and we beat Chelsea at home. That's what this scarf right here is actually from. Right here. Napoli Chelsea. We went to that game live and we beat them 3-1, man. We felt like we were on top of the world. And the next thing you know, we go over there, lose 4-3. Such a heartbreak because Chelsea actually was the squad that year that did win the UCL. Just the fact that we could keep up with a team of that caliber, with a struggling defense, but one of the best attacking trios in Europe at that point, I think that's undeniable. I mean, we were keeping up with the likes of Barcelona and Suarez, Neymar, and Messi, man. Like, it was special. It was special. We just needed someone better in that back line. But we could have made something
And
happen
their
that
midfielder
season.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Eddie Rea, I think, is an also great point from Serie C to Serie A, helping us get to that point. Also, the true MVP, I think, is ADL. I know me and Debo for sure had very, very high criticism on ADL in the early years when he wasn't spending money to get players. But as we all know, these things take time to invest in a team, especially bringing them up from Serie C to Serie A. We were astonished when he sold Cavani. It sucked, but it's part of football, the whole financial aspect of it. And undeniably, ADL is one of the best in the game in terms of finances. So shout out to ADL. I forgive you.
But I am still a firm believer, and I'll never go back on it. If he would have been able to keep Cavani, which he could have, and just signed one or two impact players in the midfield and defense, we were going to win a Scudetto.
I agree.
He didn't want to do that,
Yep.
and it turned out okay because we eventually are who we are now. But I still feel like, man, we could have. I mean, dude, Dom, imagine winning a Scudetto with those players, man, and the enthusiasm in the city at that time, I think, was at its highest level, and we didn't even win a Scudetto. Imagine doing that, So yeah, I still have some lumps in my throat, but you can't complain now. I mean, you can't go back and say that was a massive failure because of what we've become,
Yeah, no. Okay, guys. So we got a little bit off topic there. Shout out to that question, though. Definitely made us get into it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get into the other midfielders now. That being a person who's won player of the match 5 times this season, 1-time player of the month, the one and only Frank Zambo Anguissa. So I'll start this off. I give him an A minus, just right on the closer to an A than a B plus. It sucks that he's out injured. We definitely feel the impact is missing there. But I mean, his ball carrying, his defensive and offensive approach is definitely there. Overall, he's quite honestly when he's playing his game, I believe to this point he's the most complete midfielder in Europe. When he's on his game, okay, when he's on his game, he has to be on his game. The problem with Anguissa is sometimes he completely disappears from matches.
Yeah,
and that sucks. Yeah. Okay, but we saw when he was winning these player of the matches over and over and over again. With consistency, he's that guy. So also in his final third, his decision making is subpar. Kind of lacks on his finishing. We've seen him score some bangers, but also skyrocket them into the stands. It just depends how he's doing. But overall, I think an A minus is fair for Zambo. I know people out there are saying he's our best midfielder, and fairly fair point. I mean, I just don't think he's consistent enough. So, Dom, what would you give Zambo Anguissa?
Yeah, I think he probably is one of the best, maybe not the best midfielders in Europe, but probably an A for what he did so far this year. I mean, he had maybe 2 or 3 match-winning goals. I think his stats of the goals that he's had this year are, at a much higher level than what he was able to do in the past. And I think from a leadership perspective, he's also someone that I think there's a reason why, for example, that game against Bologna, I keep going back to that game against Bologna, like the team really lost it there. There was no leadership on that field. And it's because, we were away from home, so Lukaku's not in the dressing room like he was recently, and Anguissa's not on the field, and Di Lorenzo's just not enough. So that leadership aspect as well from Anguissa, apart from the quality that he brings, that leadership aspect, we never had a bad game with Anguissa on the field, because we were always able to rely on his performances and his leadership. So yeah, honestly, an A for Anguissa, and I think that he's sorely missed, and as soon as he's back to fitness, we'll have to change formation to accommodate him again. Like, I don't see him being on the bench at all. Like, if he's fit, he's playing for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And Debo, what would you give Zambo?
It's an A. I can't really disagree with anything either of you guys said. And honestly, he's gonna come back before KDB.
Yeah.
And if he is the Zamba we know that he can be, and Lobo's doing his thing, and we are scoring goals like we are now, and we're defending like we're KDB just might be the guy that you have to first consider not to start. Instead of trying to do all four of them midfielders again, because I don't think that ever worked out good enough to where that is something that Conte should feel comfortable in trying to go back to, because it never came to fruition, in my opinion. I think we had moments where it looked good, but overall it wasn't. Zombo's special, man. When he's on his game, he is absolutely one of the best in Europe. When he's on his game, the discipline act happens every once in a while, and I'll be honest with you, it really pisses me off when it does. It's just so annoying when, like, what is Zombo doing? But you have to accept that that's going to happen every once in a blue moon, and because when he's on his game, he's great. Yeah,
Definitely. Okay, so this next midfielder is someone who I believe to be honestly our most important player in quite some time, and that's Lobotka, man. I gave him, though, just from this season alone, I did give him a B. And the only reason being that is because I don't think he's been as impactful. You can definitely tell when he's not on the pitch in terms of bringing the ball up from the back, helping the defense out. He definitely, makes an impact there. But in terms of what he's been doing for us in the past years, I don't think he's been as effective. Mind you, he did have that little minor injury. He was out for some time. But I mean, he stabilizes that defense and that midfield. Without him there, you can definitely tell there's a huge difference. So he's very press resistant. His positional intelligence is one of the top in Europe. To this day, I think he's very underrated. I mean, if you're not, I think Serie A is very well aware of how good he is. But in terms of Europe, we know that Barcelona was kind of linked to him a little bit there. Thank God he didn't go there because he's still in his prime, I believe. So we don't want to let him go just yet. But I think his only weakness really is his low vertical passing risks. I think that kind of limits the attacking possession there. But other than that, I mean, we saw with his national team, he also does pretty well on those long ball passes. He hasn't done it much with Napoli. We've seen KDB do that pretty often, but I don't know. I think that he hasn't been as effective, but he's still a very important player for us. Debo, we'll start with you on this one. What would you give Lobotka?
I don't think I can disagree with the B just because of what you already said about him not being as good as he's been, which is one of the best midfielders in all of Europe, like, no doubt, right? But I think he's just been a little bit inconsistent in making those huge impacts throughout the match that we're used to. So I can't really disagree with the B. And then him being the most important player for us during these last few years, I can't disagree with that either. I think that he's underrated just because he doesn't get goals and assists, and people put too much weight sometimes on goals and assists. But we know, and I think the rest of the league knows in Italy how important he is. And, we've gotten 2 Scudetti with him in 2 different seasons, and he's been that guy in both seasons. So, he's amazing. I just think he's just been a little bit inconsistent this year. That's all.
Agreed. Yeah. I still think he's a phenomenal player, but this season alone, I think he hasn't been as effective. Like Anthony said, I mean, he can damn well have the keys to the city, of course. And Vincenzo also mentioned that he's the backbone for our two Scudetti. Facts. Dom, what would you give Lobotka?
Probably a B plus, because I still think that when he does play, we are just much more comfortable than when he's not. Like the impact is still so huge from when he's not playing to when he is, that I think anything below a B plus is maybe a bit harsh. But I have to agree that it's not been as impactful as other years. The other thing is also, like, compared to Anguissa, for example, like Anguissa has, I think, improved as a player. Like he's on a rising trajectory. Like he is, able to get more and more goals. He's able to show us a bit of new things here and there. With Lobo, I feel like he's kind of in a comfort zone where he knows he's good at the things he does and he just sticks to that. And like you said, I would like to see him take a bit more risk. Go do that long pass, that diagonal pass to put Hoyland through on goal. Like, when has he ever done that? Or go take that shot from outside, or use your left foot, you know? So I would like him to take a bit more risk, to grow as a player a bit more. Like, he's at such a high level, and I think he's like, okay, this is my level. I'm good. I'm just gonna keep it that way, and fine. I mean, it's good enough because it's such a high level. But I'd like him to try to go to that next one, and yeah, improve. I think he's still not, the finished thing. There's still things in his game that he can do more. He can score more. He can assist more. So, yeah, maybe a B plus, because he's not challenged himself enough.
Agreed. Agreed. So this next player here is a ex Napoli player who actually came back to us. Actually, the first Napoli player that ADL has ever brought back to the team. That being Elif Elmas, also known as the Joker because he can play so many different positions for us on the field. Uh, Basically, I gave him a B. I think it's fair, just given his usage around the different positions. He can be used as an 8, a wide midfielder, an inverted winger, or a great late sub as well. He's very, very technically gifted, I must say. Obviously, we haven't seen him score a goal just yet. I would like to see one again from him in the Napoli shirt. He did have one that got called off offside, just barely. I really wanted that for him, but yeah, overall, I think it's important to have a player like this who can play so many different positions. And Elmas does his job. I mean, he's a lot older now. He's not as pace heavy. But yeah, I think a B is fair. Dom, what would you give Elmas?
Yeah, he's had to adapt to different positions, playing in that two-man midfield on the left, and we know that that's why we have Elmas. He's that type of player. But he's not been the Elmas showing us the moments of magic that we remember him for. So for that, I'll give him a B minus. I think it's also a fact that the last 3 games he's been playing behind the striker, that he says that's his favorite position, and he's not done really anything there. So yeah, fine. He's very useful to the cause, but we haven't seen enough magic from him. So B minus.
B minus. That's fair. And Debo, what did you give Elmas?
Yeah, it's a B for me. I just think that hmm, like if you were to give him an A in anything, it's his ability to play pretty much anywhere on the pitch and not be bad. Like he has been able to play in multiple positions. So you have to that has value to it, right? But he also hasn't just made I can't think of a match where he's made a huge impact. And I think that he's talented enough to where he should just be making more of an impact. So yeah, I think a B is a fair grade.
Sure. I mean, Johnson makes a great point as well, saying that him and Scott both deserve to, get some credit for adapting to that midfield positioning. Uh, I think a B minus is definitely fair. Obviously, an A would be a bit too high. It doesn't deserve anything in the C range, but I'm just glad to have him back. He's a great sub, in my opinion. So thankfully, he's back with us, especially given our injury status. So this next guy here is a young stud who we did mention earlier, that being Antonio Vergara. Uh, I mean, given the minutes that this guy has played, you guys might think it's a bit high, but I gave him a B plus. And that being, he has phenomenal ball control. His positioning is very well. The only weakness I really noticed is that in the final ball, he hasn't been as impactful. But for a guy that gets barely any minutes, he seems very confident on that field. So might be something to look out for in the future. We know that he's from the Napoli Academy. We don't have much success from there in general, like Juventus, Inter Milan, but I think Vergara can be someone very important for us in the near future. So B plus for me. Debo, we'll start with you here. What would you give Antonio Vergara?
I'm at a B2 in that range, but I'm disappointed that he wasn't able to convince Conte enough to play in that match versus Juve. I thought that was going to be an opportunity to be a starter, is what I mean. I thought that was going to be an opportunity for him to really, really show that he's taken another step, and Conte didn't start him, so that disappointed me. But he hasn't been able to really he hasn't been given the opportunity, right? So that's why I'm not too harsh on him. So I think a B is a fair grade.
Okay. And then Anthony did say that Vergara did state he wanted to play like Zielinski, which kind of bothers him. Depending which Zielinski that you do get out there, the one who scores or the one who just dribbles and leads to nothing. I didn't see him comment that, but if he said that, it wouldn't bother me too much, just given Zielinski, I think, was one of our more important midfielders way back in the day. But I don't think it's that big of a deal of a name to look up to. I mean, we put murals up of Zielu, so I don't know. We'll see. Will he leave us for Inter? I wouldn't go that far, so we'll see. Dom, what would you give Vergara as your grade?
Yeah, Anthony is fighting some demons there, but so Vergara, I think he's so talented, just such a good player. Yeah. I want to see so much more of him. But as Dan's saying, he hasn't been able to convince Conte enough. And this is also like another bit of, I heard this, type of thing. But apparently he was ready to give Vergara a starting position in the Super Cup. And Vergara, the day before in the training, kind of half-assed it. And Conte said, fine, you're not playing.
Wow.
This is the level that Conte, like, just when you think, he probably thought, okay, I'm gonna start this game. I've played well against Benfica. People are talking about me. He got a little bit too comfortable, maybe a little bit too cocky, and Conte put him right back in his position. Said, "You're a kid. Do not think that you've arrived yet. You're sitting on the bench, and you're not getting this opportunity." And that's the level, that's the level that you have to be at with Conte. You have to always be at 100%. Otherwise, he's literally going to penalize you. And somehow I think that should reflect in his season rating, that he dropped the ball right when he was going to get given a huge chance. So for me, even though I would love to give him a B plus, I'm going to drop him down to a B.
That's fair. I'm just very high up on the guy. I mean, you obviously know he's very talented. Didn't know that happened with the training, and we know that Conte's training is very, very strict and quite possibly lead to some of our injuries. We're not going to discuss that, but I mean, you gotta show up in training with Conte. There's no way you can
apparently, supposedly. Let's
supposedly,
see. I don't know if this is true, but I wasn't there. But this is what I heard. That what happened with Vergara.
Yeah. Okay, so B plus, fair grades for Vergara, in my opinion. Lastly, in the midfield, we have someone who's known as a Lobo replacement for later down the line, that being Billy Gilmore. So I do like Gilmore. I think this season he's been not as effective. I gave him a B minus, just given that I feel like he could do more. I feel like he was much better last season. Whenever we needed him to step into the pitch, whenever Lobo was getting subbed off or injured, etc. But he has good passing, good mobility, physicality is definitely there for a small guy of his stature. I don't notice too many weaknesses except for probably his finishing. I mean, he's not known as a shooter. He did have a one shot last season that was outside of the box that went to the far right bottom corner. But yeah, I mean, he's like a Lobo esque player, and I think that's why we grabbed him in the first place because we didn't know what Lobo was going to want to do, either stay or leave. And it's still a possibility for him to leave next year. We just don't know. We know that these big clubs are starting to notice him a bit more. So I think for this season alone, a B minus would be fair for Gilmore. And Dom, what would you give Billy?
Yeah, same B minus. I
Minus.
think his position in the team is to replace Lobo and not make it that much of a drama for us if he needs to play. And I think that he does that quite well in the sense that he's not like Lobo, but it's not that dramatic when he plays the drop off. So B minus.
Sure. And Debo, what would you give Billy?
I'm gonna give him an F.
What?
Only because I want to do some voodoo shit on him not being the replacement for Lobo, and Lobo stays through his prime.
Well, when ADL knows money talks, and we know we have Mana, who will also great later on in the video, but Mana has done pretty well in the transfer market, and I feel like even June Jolie did well for us. I mean, he's the one that got Billy Gilmore. I wouldn't say you should put voodoo on it though. What would you really give him as a grade?
Let's see. I'm giving him a C just because I don't think that he's been as impactful as he was last year when he's been called upon. So I might be a little bit harsher because he's had the injury and now he's got surgery and all that. So maybe he just hasn't been able to get into a rhythm.
Yeah.
And then, like I mentioned, maybe that's just my subconscious doing that on purpose because I want Lobo to stay through his prime. I think that's going to be one of the most important things that we can do is to convince Lobo, however it's done, for him to stay through his prime and not to leave next year. So yeah, I give him a C.
Okay. Yeah, Anthony give him a C as well. I just feel like he has the potential to be the Lobo replacement. Obviously not as good. I mean, we don't know that, but Lobo is just another level. But he has those, abilities and similarities to Lobo. So
I think it's very risky, very, very risky to think that if Lobo leaves, we're okay because Billy Gilmore's there.
Yeah.
We should never make that mistake.
Yeah.
He's good to replace Lobo this game, the next game, fine, but not for the season.
Yeah.
If ever Lobo leaves, we cannot say, it's fine. We have Billy Gilmore.
Oh no, definitely not. Heck no.
I think he is a squad player.
Yeah.
And I give him a B because as a squad player, that's what I expect him to do. But if he was a starter and he was putting up these performances, then I would give him a C. Yeah, but
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, by replacement, I guess we should put that into more context. Is that whenever Lobo is not on the pinch, we must include a player of that same ability. Gilmore does substitute frequently well. So, but as a starter, can't say the same.
But I do think that his signing, that Mana was trying to find somebody that could take over for Lobo. I think that's signed. He just hasn't proved that he can be that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Lobo's a hard player to replace, as we know. So it'll be tough regardless. That's just that. Okay, guys. Now moving on to the attacking. First up, we got.
Oh, some of this is going to be controversial. I can already
Speedy
tell.
Gonzalez, David Neres. Okay, Dom, we'll start with you on this one. What would you give Neres?
Neres gets an A minus. He was, kind of not playing up until that game against Inter. I don't know for what reason. Maybe Conte, was seeing that he wasn't fit enough or whatever. But I think that could not be the case because immediately he was put as a starter against Inter, and was fantastic. Then won us the Super Cup. So whenever he's had the chance, he's performed. And yeah, he has some games where he doesn't. But I think that's the case for most strikers. I think strikers is it's harder to be consistent as a striker because what you're gonna have a winger that scores every game, and then you're talking about top three players in the world. Whereas midfielders and defenders, it's they don't have to be that guy every single time. They just have to pass the ball and that's be consistent, not make bad decisions. Strikers, if we're judging them based on number of goals and assists, we can't really expect them to do that every single game. And I think with Neres, he does one game good in the sense that he gets on the score sheet or assist. Another game he doesn't, but that's what a good striker actually is. It's like that's the average of a good striker. So he did well, in my opinion. If he had been scoring or assisting every game, he'd be worth 100 million, and that's not what we expect from Neres. We expect to contribute one every 2 games, and that's what he's done when he's played.
Definitely. And Debo, what would you give Neres?
I can't disagree with anything there. I thought maybe we were gonna get some other juicy content because I still haven't been able to figure out why he wasn't starting much earlier and it was Politano instead. I think we're in attack. I think we're close to night and day since Neres has been the full-time starter. And it did start with the Inter match. Even though he was put out there as a false 9, he was running havoc on their back line in that game. And I can't remember Neres having a bad match where he's been the full-time starter. But today, I didn't really see much from him. So maybe today was his first match where he didn't really make a big impact. So yeah, for sure he gets an A. And I'm just hoping that this continues with him being a full-time starter, and no matter who comes back from injury, and no matter what formation it ends up being, and no matter who's available, if Neres is fit, he needs to be a starter. And
Probably
I
formation
can't
was the
lie.
biggest, right?
Yeah.
The 4-5-1, with the four midfielders that we had, there just was no space for Neres from a formation point of view. I don't think there's any like bad behavior or anything like that, or fitness. I think he was just penalized.
And Conte needs to realize, in my opinion, that you need to find a formation to get him on the field. You know what I mean? He is that good of a player, puts that much pressure on a defense, frees up other players so much with his ability to put pressure on. And I'm worried, even now seeing Politano starting again, that I'm worried that when we get all these players back, that we're gonna go back to this freaking, Politano's a full-time starter and Neres is coming off the bench. That's the nightmare that I don't want when we get players back, and he's been that good. He really has. I mean, he's been one of the best players in the league since he's been a full-time starter. I don't think we can debate that. So
Definitely.
yeah.
So you give him an A?
Yes.
Okay, I give him an A as well. Not including the matches where he was subbed in. I think he's most effective when he is a starter playing as natural position on the right wing. And I feel like Politano should stay as a right wing back if he does play, not play on the right wing. Defensively, you know what? I'm going to save the Politano stuff for his segment. But Neres,
Because you're wrong about Politano staying in that position and being a starter.
Yeah, right wing back is fine though.
Put D'Lo up there, man.
Okay, well, we've noticed that D'Lo can't
I'm just
play
getting
every minute
anxiety
of the
right
match.
now because you're making it worse about being nervous about him becoming a starter again. He proved it again today. Like, why does he even take any of these set pieces? He never does anything on a set piece ever.
He crossed that ball for the assist. Yes, it got deflected off the clip, and I said, I'm a defender, but he created that technically.
And that's how it had nothing to do with him having a great cross. It was just that he was the guy that threw it in there, and it got deflected. Oh gosh, man.
It's okay. It's okay. Save the play tunnel banter for when we get to his section. I already know how you feel about him, how I feel about him. I know Dom, you definitely do defend him, and rightfully so. You know, Dom mentioned in his live stream that he's someone on the pitch that you don't think is doing much, but he is doing something. We just don't really see it. You have to really watch ball to understand that Politano on the defensive end is very important for us. Now, I can't say the same for when he reaches that final third. I don't like him in the final third just because I think he's a bit clumsy, lackluster, reckless. He's not as effective as David Neres. But anyways, we'll leave that section for Politano. But David Neres, for me, gets an A. I think and as a 1v1 threat, he's above and beyond everybody in this league. You know, he has pace, agility, quickness, etc. His end product has definitely improved. We knew that he wasn't as critical as it used to be, or is much more critical than he used to be. But his work rate is also there. Same you can say for Politano. Their work ethic is definitely there. I think his only really real weakness is that sometimes he does drift out of matches, and that given so today with that formation, as Dom mentioned, I don't think it fit his status. So we'll see. For now, it's an A. He's done great as a starter for us, and mind you, he's one of the best players in Serie A at this point, Højlund included. So our attacking force has definitely improved significantly with Højlund, Neres, and depending.
So was our defense. Our defense
correct.
Is better now too, and
and it's that formation.
Has nothing to do with Politano. Politano is doing nothing for our offense or our defense. He is not. So now I'm really looking forward to seeing how Dom's going to defend him again. I think sometimes Dom just feels forced to defend him, but we'll see.
No, I think he gets too much hate, and mind you, I'm one of those people that kind of puts a little bit too much banter on him. But I don't know, man. He just pisses me off in that final third, man, because our attacking force has struggled for quite a bit this season, and now we're kind of getting into that flow, and Politano tends to kind of ruin it for us in that attacking third. So I don't know. I do want to go back to this comment real quick from Umberto. 110% we need to sell next summer, and Lobo will have a lot of value. No, I do not want to sell Lobotka. All right, you're thinking like ADL here, which I respect. Money talks.
And his value has come down this year.
It has this year, yes.
I'm sure that his injury has something to do with that, but his value has come down too. So for me, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get a lot of money for him, depending how much money that we're talking about, sure. But once you realize how much of an impact that makes on our team, man, you'll slightly regret it depending who we get. So with that money, the challenge becomes that with Neres starting, you sacrifice McTominay going forward a lot. True, but I believe that McTominay doesn't have to score goals or get assists to make an impact, as we discussed earlier. I don't know. Good point, though. Good point. Okay, guys. So next up, we have our most recent attacking pickup, that being Rasmus Højlund. Dom, we'll start with you on this one. What would you give Højlund?
A+.
Wow. Okay.
A+. Literally came at the very, very end of the transfer window. Didn't have a summer retreat with Conte. The guy's 22. Yeah. Guys, 22? Yeah. What were you guys doing at 22? Were you getting a brace in the Serie A? 2 goals today? Were you scoring 2 goals against Juventus? I mean, the guy is at such a high level. I mean, he's the best striker in the Serie A right now.
Yeah.
If you had to choose, I would rather have starting Højlund than Lautaro Martinez, than whoever. He's 22, and we're talking about the best striker in the Serie A right now. And sure, there were some games that he didn't perform well. Fine. Again, he's 22, and he's in his first 6 months with Antonio Conte without a summer retreat. The guy has the same amount of goals as Lukaku did last season after this many games. So, for him to come in, replace Lukaku, and his link-up play is, improving a lot. He's improved as a player. He's not just relied on whatever he was good at, he's adapted to whatever Conte wants him to do. Honestly, like I have nothing bad to say about Hoyland. Also, the way that he's like gotten into the environment, right? Like with his social media posts as well. He's really, happy to be here. I think, yeah, honestly, like this is the type of impact and attitude we want to see from players. So A+.
For sure. I mean, that's definitely fair. Like Italian Punk you mentioned, he's completely transformed under a Conte. We know that we've already picked up McTominay from Man U as well. They don't really tend to utilize their players as they should over there, from what I've noticed, given their different coaching statuses. But yeah, he's basically like a mini Lukaku. I mean, he plays his back to go forward very well. He's had a couple games where his first touch kind of lacked, but in terms of recency bias, man, this guy is easily the best striker in Serie A at this point. Lautaro, we know he disappears from these big games. Hoyland has completely demonstrated to quite the opposite. He's shown up when we need him most. So yeah, for me, just given from his movement, his physicality, his finishing, he's a very strong striker, and I would give him an A. Honestly, not an A+ just yet. If he keeps doing this for the rest of the season, yes, he gets the 100% grade, A+ for sure. But Dom made some great points. Given he just came to this team not too long ago and had to switch up from his blunder at Man U, practically doing nothing for them. He's completely shifted his game, and that could be due to Conte and probably his own self-motivation and the confidence. I mean, Napoli tend to do well with Man U players thus far for making them step up to the plate. So shout out to Napoli and Conte. Debo, what would you give Rasmus Højlund?
It's an A for me too. Conte in his post match today talked about him a little bit. One of the things that he said is he's got a lot of work to do and has crazy potential, and that the coaching staff has to put that on himself to get that potential out of him. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's playing this well or this good, and he has potential to get a lot better. That's got to be scary. And then the second thing to that is, I know we'll talk about Lukaku, even though hasn't played yet, is what happens when Lukaku is match fit. That's not going to be.
It's right here.
Yeah, that it's not going to be in the next game or two, but when Lukaku is ready to be himself, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I know. Yeah, I mean, I know that he's had some challenges in the past with injuries and getting back to match fitness, but if he does, it's going to be very interesting to see what Conte does. I don't think Conte has really ever tried to be consistent with a two-striker formation, but Conte's also proved that he is willing to switch things up if need be. So very interesting. Yeah, definitely an A. Højlund's been crazy, and he turned into a poacher today. And being a poacher is part of being a striker.
Yep.
It's part of it, man. Being in the right
time,
position
right
at the right
place.
time.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So very, very happy with him. Definitely we're all in agreement that he's in the A range.
Yeah. So I do want to bring up this comment from Italian Punk. 352 with Lukaku and Rasmus. We did talk about this in our previous Napoli Nation episode. Dom, I do want to hear your perspective on this just for a little bit here. Lukaku and Rasmus up top. How do you feel about that?
I think it would be good. They're both two strikers that link up well with the people that they're around. Like we saw, how many back heels did Rasmus do today to like play Neres and stuff. So and Lukaku the same. He has a lot of assists last season with playing next to Raspadori and all that. So I think the two of them together, they'll be able to sync up quite nicely. Probably it's going to be more Højlund running in behind and around Lukaku, and Lukaku like feeding him the balls. But yeah, just imagine the defenders having to deal with both of them. That's scary.
Yeah, it's very scary.
And if Neres is in there too, somehow, some way, oh my God. Yeah. Like, do you think Neres would be able to play in that formation as a wingback? or maybe as one of the
Love to
midfielders.
see it.
Can he
I don't
do
know
it?
if Conte. I'd love to see it. I don't know if Conte would do it.
No.
But yeah.
I don't think we'll stick with the 3-5-2 formation if we're having them two up there. I don't know. We'll see how Conte is feeling. I don't know. I think Politano will have to start in that right wing back position. Just my opinion from the history with Conte and Politano's relationship. He obviously likes the guy. So real quick, Dom, I do want to hear your point on this. Hi guys, just tuning in. So sorry if you talked about it already. How do you think the team looks when KDB and Anguissa also come back?
Well, I think we said no that if Anguissa comes back and he's the Anguissa that we know, that we need to find a place for him in the starting 11. KDB a bit less. I don't think we need KDB as much as Anguissa, to be honest. Between the two, I would rather put Anguissa, which is crazy to say, but I'm not saying Anguissa is a better player than KDB. Absolutely, I'm just saying in the context of this team, Anguissa carries a lot, also in terms of leadership and experience in the Serie A. I think he would come into this team more so than KDB. And yeah, probably we'd play him, Lobo, and McTominay in a 3-man midfield.
Yeah, we'll definitely go over the formation just a little bit. I know Anthony said save this questions for the end. We'll definitely go over what we think is best. I don't know if we'll end up keeping this 3-5-2 formation whenever we have more players come back healthy. Obviously, we've been most successful with it, but this is Conte's game, so I don't really know. Hot take: KDB played his last game as a Napoli player. That's definitely a hot take. That's really crazy. But yeah,
He's probably saying that because of his injury too, though. I mean,
yeah.
Who knows how long it's going to take KDB to get back to match fitness? So,
yeah, and then KDB could maybe operate in the position Elmas is playing. I mean, quite possible. I don't know. I think KDB is best. With how Don mentioned Zambo. I mean, you can't keep Zambo out, and we have to have McTominay there. We need Lobo in the back. I would put KDB as a sub, man. Like, as much as a lot of people
see everything, I think there's so
Yeah.
many games potentially that we'll see, and
Yeah.
we'll see maybe this. We'll see him in a 3-man midfield. We'll see all sorts of variations.
I mean, this is a good problem.
We'll have to play all of them at some point.
Yeah.
There's so a lot of games. I think Vincenzo brought it up earlier. There's a lot of games, Coppa Italia, Champions League, Serie A.
Yeah.
We'll see everything.
Yeah,
there's not going to be that one formation that we're just going to keep using over and over again if everybody's fit.
Exactly. We don't have to stick to one formation. Like, depending on who we're playing, it just depends. I mean, Conte he's a mastermind. So it all depends who we're playing. But for sure, I would definitely have Anguissa and McTominay always in the midfield when possible, Lobo included. So next up, we saved Mr. Matteo Politano here. Debo, we'll just start with you just because I already know you're going to go crazy about him. So go ahead, give it to us.
Well, I think I've given you the craziness of enough already. He's a C at best, just because. Just because, let's just put it this way, he hasn't done more than he did last year. And would we give him an A last year? No, we'd probably give him a B. So he hasn't done shit this year. So why would I give him a B if I was going to give him a B? No, he's a C at best. The only thing that I can ever say positive about him is his work rate. Okay, work rate's important. If you have somebody that's given their all the whole game, I mean, aren't all the players supposed to give their all the whole game? So, like, to laud work rate for me when you're trying to talk about a player and the impact that they make is just, it's somewhat ridiculous, I think. But the dude plays all the time. So I swear there's got to be something going on that he knows that if he was to say something about that, it would cause all kind of drama or something, man. With every coach. Like, every coach, he's got to have something on.
There's a vendetta
because he's
going on.
always playing. The dude is always playing. It's so frustrating for me. But he's a great guy. Like, he's good in the locker room. He's not a, he's one of the leaders. It's just he doesn't impact matches like almost ever. So it's
I
just
mean,
frustrating for me.
offensively, you could make that point, but defensively, it's quite the opposite. You can't deny
I
that.
don't think so. I
Nah,
don't
you can't
think
deny
so. I
that.
don't think that he does this crazy job in defense either. I really don't. I mean, can we remember any moment besides that one when he just happened to be there and save that one goal against some team at some point? Like, what does he really do in defense that really, like, the other thing too is when he does get the ball somehow, when he's defending and he steals the ball, like, he gives it up right away. He doesn't do anything with it after that. He makes bad pass after bad pass after bad pass, including today. Like, has he ever passed on a counter on a through ball that actually was
Successfully,
put
successfully,
into
not
the
many
vision
times.
of the player that needs to get that ball to go and score?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Like, he's just so frustrating for me, man. Like,
Okay.
me giving him a C is probably
Being nice.
I'm being nice. Yeah, I think I am. I think I am.
Okay, well, I gave him a C minus. Just that being so, with how much of a liability he is in the attacking third, and how much we've struggled this season in the attacking third in general. Not recently, but yeah. I mean, I feel like he is very creative. It's just at the point where he needs to make that pass. He creates the space, mindfully so. He's very reliant on his left foot, so he's quite easy to defend for some players. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he is creative. I mean, we saw him under Rudy Garcia. He was getting 6 goals, 5 assists in like 12 matches. I mean, he was very good. It
I
depends how
think
you
that was
utilize
a
him.
dream or something.
That
I
wasn't a
don't think
dream.
that actually
Yeah.
happened. I think we all just like, yeah, I don't think that happened, man. I really don't.
Well, it
When the
happened.
hell was he our best player under Rudy Garcia for like 10
Those
games?
were tough
I
times.
don't
Very tough
understand that,
times.
man.
Okay, so we got all the negativity aside. Dom, defend Matteo Politano for us.
I won't do it. I won't do it. C minus from me.
Dude, you tried at the beginning of the year though, man.
Well,
No,
no,
no.
but given
Here's
it
the
was
thing.
because of
Here's the
Lang,
thing.
people, yeah.
Here's the thing. People say that Lang is a better player. Just you wait until I give Lang's rating. Just you wait.
Mine's bad too.
First of all. Second of all, what Politano has done and proved in his career is way above what Lang will even be able to dream about. I mean, there was that time under Rudy Garcia that he was it. He was the man. Man, without him, we might have been relegated. I kid you not. This is how bad it was. He was the difference between us getting 10th and us going through what Fiorentina are going through right now.
Yeah.
I promise you, we would not have won a Scudetto if we didn't have Politano the year before. Like, we would have been maybe relegated. That's how clutch he was that year. He was literally our best. He was the only one actually trying. I think that's what really stood out to us, is that while everybody else was kind of deflated, he was there every single game, even when we were losing. And the fact that he, defends, I think that's something that, comes from that kind of season. And now I think this season he's not been able to do that. I think it's very clear that he's past his prime. He's physically not at the right level. There's a reason why he didn't play for 4 or 5 games as a starter, because I think even Conte recognized that. And now he's not contributing going forward, not contributing defensively. He is now just some guy we're putting there, just like whenever we have Lang or Luca, he's just some guy, that you could literally put any other Serie A player in that position and you'd more or less get the same result. So, yeah, but when people say Lang is a better player, I'm sorry, but Lang will never have a season like Politano had 2 years ago.
Yeah, PSV and that Dutch league in general is a whole different breed.
It doesn't count.
Yeah,
That doesn't
yeah.
count. I mean, we're talking about at least with under Napoli colors. Under Napoli colors, Politano has done enough for us to be like, you know what? He was useful to the cause. He was useful to the cause, which is already more than what 90% of players you can say about them. It's just that this year he's useless. But yeah, so C minus.
Okay.
But I will never say like, oh, he's a horrible player. Like, no, as a player, he showed that he's good. He's not. He's playing horrible now, which is a different thing to being a horrible player, which is what I think of other people. But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, these two right here, Anthony, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this. I don't, whatever language it is, Japanese, Chinese. I don't know. I don't want to offend you, but I agree. I mean, as a sub, I feel like he is great. I think he's phenomenal as a sub, but as a starter, I feel like he definitely lacks heavily, heavily. And that being so, just because we're so reliant on these wingbacks to bring the ball up and be consistent into creating things, and he just does not do that well. Defensively, whole different story. He does well. He helps D'Lo a whole bunch on that right side. We know D'Lo is not the same either. So yeah, I mean, I just feel like we're starting to see D'Lo and Politano both kind of sway their way out of the starting 11. I know D'Lo is our captain, but they just haven't been the same. And age is a huge factor, except for Juan Jesus. I mean, he's 34 and still doing this thing. I don't know how he's doing it, but yeah, as a sub, I think he's fine. So next up, we did just talk about him, Noah Lang. Dom, we'll start with you just because I know you have some thoughts on him. What do you give him?
Yeah, F in my opinion. Guys, we were playing against third division teams in preseason, and he couldn't make the difference even there. Yeah. Against Cremonese, he comes on 20 minutes. My guy, it's Cremonese. Like, do something. You don't have the excuse of Politano that you're in your 30s. You don't have the excuse that you're coming back from an injury. You don't have the excuse that I'm taking care of defensive work. Like, dude, you were there to create some magic. I've not seen any of that. You talked a lot, or he talked a lot coming into the season, saying that people buy a ticket just to see him and they'll be at the edge of the seat. Yeah, man, sit down.
All right, so Dom gives him an F. I do have an F in here, but that's for the very next player. I think you guys can guess who that is. But I'm gonna be a little bit more lenient on Noah Lang and give him a D. I feel like he has a high ceiling in his technical ability, but mindfully so, man. He struggled this season a lot. Inconsistent, poor decision making. He's struggling to earn Conte's trust, obviously, and then talking to the media saying this and that is not a good look. He's very confident. I mean, that's one thing. He's definitely got an ego. I mean, he's a freaking rapper on the aside. Pretty good music, by the way. Not bad. Better music than he's actually playing. But yeah, I feel like a D would be fair. An F is also fair, in all honesty. If I'm being brutally honest, I feel like if I could, an F plus, D minus, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Debo, what would you give Noah Lang?
So if we're taking into account what he said preseason, then and instead of a D, it's an F. Like I had a D too. But going back to what he said at preseason, I mean, Dom, have you gotten out of your seat? Have you, Mario?
No.
I don't think anybody has. Like, he just hasn't made any impact. And even his confidence level, for me, the way he plays, he doesn't play like a confident player either. So it's like, when you gonna show something, bro? I mean, and then like there was one play today where dude, he got outran easily by the defender that they were both going for the ball towards the back line, and I thought he was supposed to be fast. And he didn't. He looked slow. So yeah, man, D, maybe an
as well.
F.
He's weak. He's like Lindstrom. He can't.
Oh, great comparison.
Man,
yeah.
he can't play at this level. He's a Stig, and and also
Not a good signing.
Technically, I don't know which game it was, but he like came off the bench, messed up 2 passes, fell on the ball.
Exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
Fell on the ball.
Yeah.
Like
he's clumsy. It looks like.
He doesn't belong anywhere near Serie A. Let me tell you.
That's what it appears. So, you know who else doesn't belong in the Serie A, at least with us? Lorenzo Luca, man. This is my one and only F grade. And I think it's rightfully so, dude. We paid, well, we're going to pay with the obligation to a buy off the loan, like 35, 40 million, something of that range. Dude, this guy is lackluster, to say the least. He was expected to be the Lukaku replacement, given the future aspect. In reality, he struggled with consistency. We even brought him into the Udinese match. That's his ex team. You know what Napoli players do when they play us? Gaetano, what's his name? I'm having a brain fart. Who we just played with Torino? Ngonge, Simeone. Simeone freaking scored. Like, dude, you should be fired up to play your ex team. Caprile, dude, he did nothing. He's a straight lamppost. I know you guys have probably seen these memes, but he's a freaking lamppost. He does nothing well. Nothing. At least play well with your back to goal. You have the size and stature to do it. You still don't do it. Your first touch is god awful. For me, man, easily an F. He's often marked out of games when Napoli face a deep block. He's just not useful at all in any aspect. Debo, what would you give Luca?
Spot on, man. He's Dom used useless for Politano. What does that make Luca?
Yeah.
Luca he's done zero at any given time. Like there was one play where he had a cross into Højlund, and I think Højlund or him might have been offsides anyway. He had that one goal in garbage time. Like, I'm pulling these out of my butt because I'm trying to think of anything that he's ever done. And those are the only two things. And for me, it's like, from a physical aspect, he's tall, but that's it. Like, he doesn't have any pace to him. He doesn't have any great athletic ability. He doesn't have a good vertical, and then every time he touches the ball, it leaves his feet. He can't keep the ball near him. I mean, it's very, very disappointing that we spent all the money for him because he has absolutely done nothing. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen, because that's a lot of money we spent on him, and the contract that we signed it's an obligation to buy, right, Dom?
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to do, man? Is there anybody that's going to really want this guy? So
Juventus.
Very, very frustrating. Very bad signing.
Juventus, come get him. Just like you did Milik. Come get him.
Well, no, I don't want him to go to any rival,
please.
because the last thing that I want to see is somehow they figure out a way to get something out of him and he makes an impact and we're like, oh, great. So I don't think that he's going to go to a rival for a couple of reasons. I don't think a rival really wants him, and I don't think ADL is about to do that anyway. It's frustrating, to say the least, because I think some of us did think that he was going to do something, make some type of impact. I wasn't excited about his signing. I really wanted us to really, really go far for Boney, and we ended up getting Luca, and he's been shit.
Yeah, and Boney's been exceptional with Inter, given the minutes that he's also played too. I mean, this is one of the few players that we've overpaid for, sadly. And dude, if he goes to a rival, who cares? If he performs well, who cares? We're getting money for him at that point. I mean, I wouldn't want to keep the guy. We got Lukaku coming back. Yes, he is older. Højlund for the future. We have an obligation to buy with him too. I mean, he said he'd rather see Ambrosino on the pitch than Luca. At this given point, yes.
Yep.
Yes, I agree.
100%. Yeah.
And I also tried being optimistic with Luca as well. Okay. A few games into the season, he had that world-class goal, honestly, against Pisa. I mean, that's a tough shot. When I saw that, I felt like he boosted some kind of confidence, but right after that match, same player, nothing, absolutely nothing. So, Dom, what would you give Lorenzo Luca?
Don't make me speak about Luca, man. I'm gonna get canceled. Man, an F as well. Although compared to Lang, I can see that there's something there. There's something that maybe some team eventually at some point will be able to extract out of Luca in the Serie A. Not with us, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if he does well somewhere else, so be it. We got our money back. He's not going to do well with us, so what's the point? Who cares? Okay, guys. So lastly, for our attacking force, we'll move on to Conte, ADL, and Giovanni Manna. It is Giuseppe Ambrosino. All right, guys. So I haven't seen much from this player, so I don't feel like it would be fair for me to give him a grade. Dom, have you seen much from him?
No grade.
No,
No
right?
grade.
Yeah, no
grade.
grade. Debo, anything?
Nah, not really. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll move on then. All right. So our head coach, Conte. Dom, we'll start with you on this one. What would you give Conte this season?
Maybe a B.
Okay.
Maybe a B. I think he did well to get out of that situation after the Bologna game, but somehow I feel like he put himself in a situation where we were struggling, where it was because of his stubbornness to not play Neres, not enough rotations, and got us, with injured players. So yeah, I feel like a lot of our problems are because of Conte's decisions, but then he did well to get us out of those situations.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a B.
Okay. So I give him an A minus, right above a B plus, just because his mentality is above and beyond any coach in this league. I mean, he's a winner. His tactical impact is definitely there. His biggest limitation, though, as you said, is his stubbornness and also rotations. That is one thing Conte has lacked, and that's just historical facts. And you could mention the UCL, how we're struggling there. We're doing awful. And Conte has an awful, I think it was a 33 or 34, 35 win percentage in the UCL. That's terrible. For a coach of his stature, given it's mostly from the domestic league, all of his success, the UCL is something that Napoli, dream of going far into. I mean, the furthest that we've been into was under Spalletti. That was the quarterfinals, which he also should have won against Milan. Well, Osimhen missing that first match kind of costed us. But yeah, we'll get into the UCL a little bit on later. But yeah, I'll give him an A minus just because he is a winner. UCL apart, I think that B grade is definitely fair. So yeah, Debo, what would you give Conte?
It's a B plus for me. I just can't not fault him for those two UCL matches, man, against Benfica and PSV. Like we lost 6-2 to PSV. Like that's crazy to me that we weren't able to be competitive in that match, and Benfica owned us too. So those two matches, if we were able to get at least a draw in both of those matches, then it would have been an A for me. But those two matches in itself is what makes me give them a B. And Dom has a great point too about the situations that we've been in. It has a lot to do with him. You know what I mean? And the thing about him is like he'll admit that more often than not that, hey, I'm taking responsibility for this. And I think that he does need to be given some kudos for what he did um right after Bologna. Somehow, some way. I was nervous after that match, man. Especially after the things that he said. But I think that those things were pointed in making everybody wake up and get back to work and really put on the effort that they needed to. So I'm definitely not disappointed in him overall. So that's why he gets a B. But the Champions League matches, man, is just what I always think about when it comes to how he's done this year.
Yeah, fair. He's been terrible in the UCL. I mean, that's just his history. So we'll see if we even pass into the league phase. It's looking rough. We have Copenhagen away up next, and they've done exceptionally well for their standards at least. So I don't know. We definitely need the money for it, considered how much that we've spent in the summer transfer market. So we need to make sure that we pass. All right. So talking about money, let's get into the one and only Presidente Aurelio De Laurentiis. Debo, we will start with you on this one. What would you give ADL?
Man, why are you giggling?
Because you know what.
He's an A.
All right.
Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, he has completely transformed into wanting to win trophies and wanting to take Napoli to the next level. So, and the fact that he's been 100% behind Conte this entire time, that was the one thing that I think a lot of people were nervous about is they were going to butt heads. That hasn't happened. He has been nothing but supportive of Conte, and the tweets that he makes are completely supportive. I mean, he's basically treating Conte like a god, like with the things that he says and everything. And that's what he that's what you need to do with somebody like Conte, man, because Conte has a big ego. You know what I mean? So I can't say anything bad about him at all from the role that he's playing right now. If we were to try to start talking about different things outside of, that, like, the training center, I mean, where are we with that? Um, is he ever going to be able to get things done with the new stadium? I know that's not all on him, but is he going to make the moves? Is he going to figure things out somehow, some way? Those are the next things that I'm looking for. But we can't complain, man. We can't. He's kept quiet and he's only been supportive. And that has been awesome for us. So yeah, it's an A
Definitely.
for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's an A for me too. Transfer market wise, he picked up Mana after having June Tolly, which is a great pickup. Also a rivals pickup. Uh, I mean, his biggest strength really is he knows when to course correct. I mean, mind you, it's Conte included, but we went from 10th to Serie A champs. He managed to go from Rui Garcia to Walter Mazzari on a attempt at a comeback. I had hopes whenever we beat Atalanta 2-1 and we had Cavada score that crazy free kick goal, but that was fraudulent. Yeah, and we picked up Conte and we won the Serie A, man. So I think his only weakness thus far this season is his institutional management, that being with the training center. I know there's a lot of controversy with the city of Napoli in general of getting a whole new stadium, et cetera, with a new location. We've tried, but there's only so much that the president can do. But yeah, overall this season, I would give him an A. He's also kept very quiet, which is always a good thing from ADL. We know that when he gets moving his mouth too much, it doesn't end well. So Dom, what would you give ADL?
No, exactly. I think you guys put it perfectly. There's not really much more to add to that. I loved also seeing him in the Super Cup, like sitting, like squatting down or like sitting away from the like authority VIP area. He's just become a much more likable, approachable guy in
Yeah,
recent years. So yeah, honestly, I love the work that he's doing. He's
yeah,
writing the checks. He's saying all the right things, which is very little, which is that's the right amount.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. He's a great businessman. He's always been that way. I mean, he brought us from Serie C to Serie A. It took some time for us once we reached Serie A to be competitive enough to win the Scudetto. But yeah, I mean, when he keeps his mouth quiet, at least to a limitation, things go well, especially when you have two people who have an ego, him and Conte. He knows his place. He's not the coach. Whenever we had Sadi, he liked to bump heads with him and make comments and all that, and that didn't work out well. So yeah, ADL, we all agree he gets an A. So let's move on to Giovanni Mana. All right, Debo, what would you give Mana as a grade?
Ooh, man, I'm not comfortable in really giving him a grade because I mean we've been talking about Luca and Lang a lot, and we spent a lot of money on them, and they haven't done anything good for us. But then you look at him signing Hoyland and what Hoyland's been for us. It's rough to really decide on a grade for him, but I think anything in the B range is fair just because of the fact that Luca and Lang haven't really done anything. You know what I mean? Um, it's going to be interesting to see what goes down during the winter market. I can't wait to see your video, Dom. I know you said you're going to do a video about the problems for the winter market with having to be, the possibility of sort of being banned from being able to do anything because of the financial parameters and all that. But yeah, I think a B is fair. Um, I just think that the evaluations in Luca and Lang haven't worked out, so
Okay. And then Dom, what would you give Mana?
Yeah, a B. I think he managed to close. He managed to close the deals that he wanted to close, which is always a good thing, a positive thing. Um, it's just a problem that a few of those deals were not what we needed or didn't work out. But long gone are the days where we'd try to sign a player, we'd spend a month negotiating, and then the deal would fall through. Like that literally has never happened under Manna,
Yeah.
which is huge for us, right? Like if we want the player, we get the player. Now it's just a matter of making sure that the ones that we want are always the correct ones. But yeah, I think he's a great negotiator. At least maybe not so much with the Luca price tag, but yeah, if you overpay a player 20 million, maybe that's why it's easy to close, right? But yeah, no, I mean, I think he's learning, right? He's young. He's like 36 or something like that. So yeah, a B. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right, guys. So for the very last segment, we're going to give a quick overall grade and then we got to head up out of here. So, Dom, we will start with you. What would you give as an overall grade for all of SSG Napoli?
I'd give an A- overall. I think we've had to deal with a lot of injuries, a lot of change, a lot of that. But then we won the Super Cup. Hey, that's one out of one possible trophies that we could have won this year already. The Champions League, not great, but technically, we're still in the top 24. And I think that's the only thing that really matters is just getting through the next round. I don't think it matters whether you are 24th or 9th. It would have been great to be in the top 8. I think if we were there, it would have been like an A plus for me. And in the Serie A, we are still there, no? Like we're still within a match. We won the games that we needed to win against Inter, Juve, Roma. So honestly, I think we're in a super good position. And again, considering all the injuries, yeah, we did super well, and we're still fighting on all fronts. So that's good.
Exactly. I would give them a B just because we're still there. We have certain limitations that we can't control. That given with the injuries, Conte's stubbornness. Yeah, I mean, I think a B is fair at this very moment. Obviously, if we win the Scudetto as honestly underdogs again, at least with these injuries, I think fully fit, we are the second best team talent wise in Serie A, right behind Inter. Yeah, I think a B is fair at this point. What about you, Debo?
yeah, I'm very, very stuck in between an A and a B just because of those Champions League games, man. Like it's the same thing with Conte. Like those two games being able to or not being able to do anything to compete was very, very disappointing for me. I think our quality is so much more than both of those teams that we should have done better. So I can't argue with a B and I can't argue with an A. And, Dom has a very good point about all the injuries that we've had and being able to still be within striking distance of the well, not striking distance. We're right there of the Scudetto. That's a big deal. So, yeah, I'm A, B in between there. Let's just see what happens with the Champions League because for me, that A can go to a C if we can't get past the playoff league
Agreed.
phase, right? Like, and I don't think it's a given right now for us to do that. So that's going to be a big deal. If we can't advance in the Champions League, that's going to be terrible. So we'll see.
Yeah, all of a sudden those games against Benfica and all of that, you'll start thinking that that's a real issue, and it becomes very quickly a C. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's basically the end of the live. Dom, we appreciate you so much for being here for 2 hours and almost 30 minutes.
Wow, man. Thank you so
This
much.
is by far our longest live. We love your channel. We love you. You're the man. By far, my favorite Napoli content creator on the web. And yeah, we just appreciate you for coming down onto Napoli Nation TV and doing this live with us, man.
Guys, it's my pleasure. I love what you guys are doing as well, and always happy to support fellow Napoli fans and to have these kind of conversations.
Thank you, Dom. For everybody in the chat, thank you once again for stopping by. If you haven't already, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, share this with your friends and family. And as always, guys, we must leave in this way and only this way. So Dom, basically what we do Forza Napoli sempre. I'll do Forza, Debo, you do Napoli. Dom, you can end it with sempre, and we'll head up out of here. All right, guys. So Forza
Napoli.
Sempre.
Why you?
Ande, why you? Thank you, Dom.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.